want to thank you for joining us this evening. We'll probably expect some more students to pop in and out, and I wanted to just take a little bit of time to tell you a little bit about our programs within the College of Education and answer any questions that you have along the way. I'm going to try to use my best teaching skills in multitasking. So if you have questions, you can feel free to shoot them in the chat, and I'll answer them as they come up, or make sure that I get them at the very end. I'm going to close my office door here first, though, too, so you don't have to hear lots of voices.
And I just wanted to introduce myself to you guys. My name is Morgan Miller. I am one of the admissions advisors here at NU. And once Dr. Foote has completed her portion of this awesome program, I will just go over our application process slightly. And I'll also be here to answer any questions if you have any regarding the admission side of things. So without further ado, I'm going to hand it over to Dr. Foote. We have a few more people. We have one more joining us too, so it's perfect timing.
Okay. Hello there, Lynn's iPhone. If you wouldn't mind putting in the chat where you're from, and if you're not, I'm thinking you're not Lynn, so you might be calling on somebody else's iPhone, but maybe you are Lynn. It's fine. I am going to share my screen here in just 1 second. I gotta get the right screen up, and go over with you some just general information on the programs at NU. And it shouldn't take very long, but I know that we have some folks on the line from Western New York, probably interested in becoming certified in New York State. And we also have some folks on the line from Southern Ontario, probably interested in becoming teachers in Ontario, Canada. And I do want to start out that New York State is one of the best places to become certified as a teacher, because of the standards and expectations for teaching here. It makes your qualifications very, very highly portable. And we work regularly with the Ontario College of Teachers, so we can get your information ported over there very quickly. But we work with every state in the nation, and we have students who are certified teachers in almost every country in the world. So yeah, you make a good choice if you make the choice of Niagara University. So I'm hoping, and Morgan, you'll tell me if I'm wrong, you see the power of Niagara University as the PowerPoint presentation that's going on there. All right, and yes, this is great. I'm on the right page and everybody's seeing the right thing. That's a key starting point. So I'm talking to you a little bit about the College of Education at Niagara University. And for those of you outside of the US, the branches and subdivisions in a university in the United States are called colleges, whereas I know in Ontario, they're called faculties. So we are a College of Education at Niagara University, and we have teacher certification programs in a lot of different areas. I want to start out, and I always think it's good to come with the big key things right off the bat, so that you know the key points of distinction and what makes Niagara University alumni from education stand out amongst their peers. First of all, we begin giving our candidates education coursework in the very first semester of their program of study. Most institutions will make you, they may admit you in your very first semester as a teacher education major, but they don't start taking education courses until their third and fourth years of the program. Our philosophy is you don't want to become, to get to your junior or senior year and then find out that you actually don't like kids or you don't want to teach that subject area, because that's the way to make bitter teachers. And you probably all have had a bitter teacher or two over the life of your the high school careers, but you want to make sure that you didn't go from Niagara University that way. We make sure that you start taking education coursework in your first semester and you start taking field experiences in your first semester. We get our candidates out every single semester into classrooms with live children and live teachers. In the beginning, they start doing observations and small group work that's really managed by the classroom teacher. And then they progress later on to assistantships where they teach a few lessons and to their last semester of student teaching. But because we start the program in the education coursework all right in the beginning, and we start the field experiences right in the beginning, our students can have up to 9 different internship classroom-based experiences as part of their program of study. And this is phenomenal when it comes to employment, because you have a resume that says, look, I've done an urban grade 6 classroom, I've done a suburban grade 4 classroom, I've done a charter school, I've done a public school, I've done a private school, and many of our students do international placements as well. So, and it does really translate into employment. 100% of our graduates, our undergraduate students from the last 3 years who have been seeking a job within the first year after graduation, have a job as a practicing teacher. It's actually 97% because 3% of them decide to stay right on for graduate school. But we follow up with them and we make sure that they are able to secure the jobs and they feel like they're prepared to do the jobs that they take when they start. We also have outstanding pass rates on our state certification exams. So candidates who come through our programs are going to complete our program, which is registered with New York State for certification, but they also need to take a number of different certification exams to qualify for that. And our students do very well on it, which means we are sure that we're preparing them for that. And for those of you from Ontario, we are well aware of the math proficiency test in Ontario, and quite confident that our students are doing well. They did well on the pilots when they were going, and now they're back out and happening again. And as a result of what we're seeing on their state tests here, they're doing very well in Ontario as well. We also have a number of opportunities for our candidates to move right into graduate school, and in 1 or 2, depending on the program of study, years after their undergrad, have their master's degree. So a lot of our students will begin to take graduate coursework as part of their undergraduate program of study. Fits right into their undergrad tuition. And then in up to as little as 2 semesters, they can be finished with their master's degree and out in the world teaching for a nice long career. So these are the 4 major points of distinction that I'll detail a little bit later as we go on. We have lots of different majors and minors, and I'll go into detail a little bit on each of those. It's really the programs that we have and what certifications that they can lead to. So we have, first of all, I'm going to start from the lowest age to go up to the highest age. We have early childhood and childhood education, which is birth to grade 2, or I'm sorry, birth to grade 6. And in the US, it was always called elementary. In Ontario, it's primary junior, but it's actually 2 certifications. In New York State, early childhood is birth to grade 2. So pre-kindergarten, kindergarten, JK, up to grade 2. And then childhood education is grades 1 to 6. And we help our candidates to teach all of the subject areas that would be required from at the elementary level. We also have childhood and middle childhood. So childhood, again, is grades 1 to 6, and middle childhood is grades 5 to 9. So really the middle school grades. And the middle school grades would be with a specific content area. So you may be the math teacher or the ELA teacher or a science teacher, something like that in the middle grades. But in the grades 1 to 6, you would teach multiple subjects. We really want all of our candidates to leave with at least 2 certifications under their belt because it makes them more employable. And the school buildings where they're being hired, really, they enjoy the fact that they have the flexibility of moving a candidate around. You don't want to find out that you don't have the credentials to teach kindergarten or JK when the openings switch there after a maternity leave or something like that. The next we have is middle childhood and adolescence. So this is middle school and high school, or intermediate senior in Canadianese. So middle childhood is grades 5 to 9 again, and adolescence is grades 7 to 12. And I will tell you a little bit about what content areas we can cover in middle childhood and adolescence. And then next up is special education. And we offer candidates the opportunity to get special education at the same time that they're either getting the grades 1 to 6 childhood or the grades 7 to 12 adolescence education. And they have opportunities to do all of that. We also have a program that leads to certification pre-K to grade 12, so the whole span, in what's called TESOL, Teaching English to Speakers of Other Languages. And a lot of our candidates who do TESOL as a major also will either take childhood education or adolescence education. TESOL is huge and it's often misunderstood. It's about teaching English to speakers of other languages, or English as a new language to folks, so they're newcomers quite often to either the US or Canada. But people tend to confuse it with bilingual education. In bilingual education, I may be fluent in Spanish, and I teach all of the elementary content, for example, in Spanish to a group of students whose first language is Spanish. Whereas in English language, ELL classrooms or ENL classrooms, English is a new language or English language learners, you may have 8 to 10 students in your class. All 8 to 10 of them may speak different languages from one another. And maybe none of them is Spanish and none of them is French. And you don't speak any of those languages. Your goal as an ELL teacher is to help those students progress in understanding their content, but also to move as quickly as possible into the regular classroom so that they can continue to learn with English as the primary language of instruction. It's very similar to how we manage special education, and sometimes TESOL could be a self-contained classroom. So those are students who are very new to the country quite often. And then sometimes it is a push-in situation where the TESOL teacher will move from classroom to classroom, where there might be 2 children in this classroom and 1 child in that classroom. So you're helping and supporting the regular content teacher in meeting and bridging the needs of students who are learning English while they're also trying to learn their content. I spent a lot of time on this slide because students don't usually come to these events thinking that TESOL is of interest to them. They often don't come even knowing what it is. But this is a huge area of need. We have never had a candidate who graduated from these programs who didn't already have a job or multiple offers before they left, because there is such a huge need. And if you're adventuresome, this is an awesome certification area because you can really travel the world. You can teach in Korea for a year and then move to Egypt for a year and then move to Colombia for a year. And you can have a really interesting and exciting life teaching TESOL. Not that all the other ones aren't interesting, exciting. There's always an adventure in education. But this one's a really important one for us to highlight. So next up is the content areas. So our candidates who are doing early childhood and childhood, or early childhood and special education or TESOL, often will take a concentration in liberal arts. And that's because they're teaching more than one content area. So they may take 3 different content areas. They might take a couple English courses, some math courses, and maybe some history courses or something like that, because those are the contents that they teach. Whereas candidates who are going to be intermediate, senior, or middle school and high school teachers concentrate in one subject area. And we offer programs in leading to certification in English language arts, math, biology, chemistry, general science, Spanish, French, social studies, and business and marketing. And we offer the opportunities for those in Canada to get 2 teachables by divvying those up fairly well and being able to do multiple areas. What's happening here is when you're in your program, you're going to take education coursework along the way, but you're also going to continue your education in the content areas that you're going to teach. It's not enough to just have had high school history courses and say, I'm going to be a history teacher. You need to know more about it than just the level that it takes to teach. Because when students go down an interesting path or have misconceptions or things like that, you need to have a deeper knowledge of that so that you can help bring them back and make the right connections for them. So these are the areas that we prepare candidates for. We also offer lots of different minors. There's hundreds of minors here at the university. You can do business and marketing and open your own school if that's something that you're interested in. But the minors that the education majors tend to be most interested in, that we have a literacy minor. So helping students with reading challenges and writing challenges. We have an American Sign Language and Deaf Studies minor. A lot of our candidates we also have theater, art, dance. And the minors are a way for our candidates to really differentiate themselves from one another. Because you want to make sure that when you go out, either a minor or club or organization or a sport that you're involved in, helps you to you put those things on your resume, and the school may be interested in hiring somebody who also could be the softball coach, or also might want to help with the drama department or things like that, and the school plays and things like that. And so you showing that you've done some continued study in those areas really helps to differentiate our candidates. Our faculty are phenomenal. We have a huge and very, very diverse faculty within the College of Education and across the university. And at Niagara, we like to say that our faculty are really mentors of the mind and the heart. The faculty within education are trying to understand who you are and what you want to be, as at the same time you're probably still trying to figure out, is this what I want to do and how I want to progress. And we're not trying to mold you in our shape and say, oh, you're going to be this because I love this. We want to figure out what your passion is and light it on fire so that you have all of the things that you need to be the person that you want to be and as happy in your career as you possibly can be. Give you some examples of some of our faculty. All of our faculty have their highest credentials. They hold a doctorate in their field and they have experience doing this work in schools, which is great because you're not just, hearing the textbook answers to things. You're hearing, you'll get examples. This is what happened in my own grade 2 classroom, and this is what I did to respond to it. This is where things went wrong and I had to learn the lesson, kind of thing. We have very small class sizes. The faculty here are your advisors. And if you are an elementary major and doing the liberal arts, you'll have an education major or education faculty member as your advisor. If you are secondary and let's say you want to be a math teacher, you'll have 2 advisors, one in the math department helping you along with your math, and one in the education department, making sure you're meeting all the requirements and expectations for certification. Very high academic standards we have, but we really provide you all of the support that you need to get and meet those high standards. This job is so important, and the pandemic has made it more salient. People realize how important it is now, and we want to make sure that the teachers we're producing are ready to go out there and do the job, not only to teach the content, but to meet all of the additional needs, social and emotional and trauma care and all of these other kinds of things for their students. And we participate with our students. We want you to be a lifelong learner and studying the profession, always thinking about how to improve your practice and improve the practice of those around you, and to be a leader as a teacher. And so therefore our candidates can participate with us in the research that we're doing, the study that we're doing, and go to conferences and things like that. I have a picture of 3 of our faculty members here, current faculty members, but we have 30 within the College of Education. About a third of our faculty are from Canada. In normal times, they travel over from Canada and teach face-to-face in classrooms here. but they have experience teaching in classrooms in Ontario as well, which provides a very interesting perspective for our students, because New York State schools and Ontario schools and schools around the world tend to face the same problems in cycles at different times. So for example, in New York State, for the past decade or so, we've been all about tests. There's Regents exams. So you get an 8th grade test, you get a test for this and a test for that, and we'll measure everything. Whereas for the last decade, in Ontario, that's absolutely not the case. But what we're seeing is what we call a pendulum shift. And so when the New York State is kind of getting rid of many of the tests and cutting back on all of these things, at the same time that Ontario is starting to say, oh, you know what, we need more testing. It's when the politicians feel that they know more about how to teach students than the teachers that all these changes take place. But what's nice when you have faculty who have had teaching experiences in other jurisdictions and other countries is that you bring these examples up with one another, and the students in the class have experienced things differently, so that when you get out there in the real world as a teacher and years later some change starts to come through, it doesn't shock you. You've heard about these things and you're ready and prepared to meet the different changes. So in my picture right here on the left is Dr. Sylvia Valentin. Dr. Valentin's actually originally from Puerto Rico. She was a bilingual Spanish special ed teacher in Buffalo City schools for a number of years. And she teaches our elementary social studies and arts courses, as well as some special education courses. She teaches it in English for us. But she's also very, very fluent in Spanish. Next to her is Dr. Hawa Hamza. Hawa is from Niger in Africa. Hawa speaks about 14 different languages. And her primary scholarly interest area is high school persistence amongst girls and women in developing countries. So her many languages come in very handy when she's interviewing women about their experiences. And so where she grew up, typically at about 5th grade, you get married and start having babies, and there's no need for women to go on and girls to go on and finish a high school degree. And her studies have found that it's actually good for the whole community when the woman does finish high school, and that there are economic impacts for the whole family as a result, and for the whole community. And when we're looking at issues in Afghanistan, for example, where we're wondering about whether or not girls will be able to continue to pursue an education, research like that Hawa's done is phenomenal. And next to her is Dr. Alice Cozen. Dr. Cozen used to be the director of special ed at Niagara Wheatfield School System for years. She was a special education teacher. And now she teaches our introductory special education courses that all of our students take. So regardless of whether you're going to be certified in special ed, everybody takes an introductory course, because you may be the first person who realizes that something's not exactly going on the right way or the typical way for a child in your classroom, and you need to be able to identify those things and know what your responsibilities are in terms of being able to help students. So those are just 3 of the phenomenal faculty that I'm very proud to work with. Next up is lots of opportunities beyond the ridge. If you were here on campus, or if you've ever been to campus, you know we're situated right on the Niagara River. So if I look out my window right here, I can see Canada. Can't get there very easily right now, but I regularly used to, and I will again soon. But we call this the Ridge because we are right on the gorge past the world famous Niagara Falls. And on the Ridge, we have lots of things going on all of the time. But we also have lots of opportunities for our candidates, what we call beyond the ridge. The field experiences that I was talking about before. You'll have 5 different impact experiences. These are, you might go out 2 hours a week into a classroom where the teacher provides you with, take these 2 students over here and help them with these math problems, or just watch how these students are doing, or circulate and help give feedback to kids. And you'll have lots of, we want to have you do different grade levels, different types of schools. The job market is phenomenal right now in both the US and in Canada. And you really are going to have your pick of the kinds of schools that you want to work in. And if you have taken advantage of the opportunities that we provide through the up to 9 different internships that you can do, you're going to know, look, my heart is in middle school, or, oh God, no, get me out of middle school. And they're a fun little group. And if you fit with them, you could have a happy life. But if you're a middle school teacher who doesn't like middle schoolers, you could have a very sad life. So you want to find out the kind of school system where you fit best and where you feel like you can make the most difference. So these 5 impact experiences will move you all over the place. And we provide those experiences for you. You don't have to go out and knock on Aunt Sally's door and offer to volunteer. We even provide transportation for you to these schools. In the summer, we're Niagara Falls and full of tourists. There's a lot of tourist buses around here in the winter that aren't being used as effectively. And they pull right up here on campus, and 10 students can get on and go over to Niagara Street School. And the bus driver comes right back around in 2 hours and picks them up. And if for some reason you lost track of time, he gets off the bus and goes into the building and pulls you out because it's time to go back. And we haven't lost a student yet. After the impact experiences where you're going in and helping and supporting a teacher, you move into teaching assistantship. The teacher assistantship happens during your methods courses. That's when you're learning to do lesson plans and assessments and unit plans and things like that. And as you're learning that in your courses on campus, you'll have a teaching assistantship with a cooperating or associate teacher who knows that you have to teach so many lessons in her classroom. And she will help you to design a lesson plan that can be taught within that classroom and give you feedback on how well things went, so that the next placement after teaching assistantship, which is student teaching, when you're taking over full time and the full responsibilities, it's not the first time that you have had experience within a classroom. You just scaffold from lighter things, watching and doing what you're told kind of thing, to moving up to teaching a little, to moving to the level of teaching a lot. And you're really going to be able to feel confident when you get to that level that you can do it. We have amazing study abroad opportunities, kind of diminished right now, but we can't wait to get them up and running, and anticipate that even as early as this spring, we will have our group going back to Italy. Our early childhood students have for the last almost 9 years been able to go to Italy over spring break. They leave on Friday and they go to Rome and Florence and Venice. And they see Rome and Florence and Venice, which is kind of cool over your spring break. But in each of those cities, they also have an opportunity to go into schools. And we do our early childhood program there because Italy is known, it's the root and the foundation of the philosophical orientations for early childhood. Montessori was there. You can go into a Montessori school in Rome and walk by Maria Montessori's house on the way to that school. Then we move to Florence, where we go to Reggio schools. And then we move on to Venice, where our candidates go into an international school. And the kids in there are all speaking different languages. And our teacher candidates are very worried when they go over there. But these kids are 3 and 4 years old. They barely speak Italian well enough to communicate. And it's really fun to learn how easy it is to communicate with a kid when you're dancing around and trying to get their attention and do fun things with them. So that's a really great one. We have a teach abroad opportunity in Bangkok, Thailand, where students can go in the summer. They get round trip airfare, they get an apartment with air conditioning, and they get paid in a classroom to teach Thai children over the summer. And then they come, it's a great summer job to add to your resume. We've had programs in Costa Rica, in Austria, in Germany, in Belgium, and the Netherlands. And we're always looking for new and interesting opportunities. Lots of service opportunities off campus. Our candidates run a soup kitchen 1 day a week. And lots of different clubs and environment groups and things like that. Wonderful off-campus experiences. When our candidates finish our programs, they're world ready. They're prepared to do their jobs. I told you a little bit about the employment rate. I'm also offering to you information on our certification exam pass rates. And I will tell you this, when you're trying to compare Niagara to other institutions in New York State, you really should look at their exam pass rates. And all of us are required to publish these on our website. If you see a school that has 100% pass rate on all of these tests, I want that to be a red flag for you and an alarm, because if they have 100% pass rate, what that means is that if a student doesn't pass, they don't let them graduate. We let our students graduate. You get your bachelor's degree and we stick with you. So one of these tests you might not have passed on the first time, and we will work with you, give you information and provide tutoring opportunities for you so that you can pass it the second time. But we're not going to hold up a bachelor's degree, because the bachelor's degree is a golden ticket to a whole nother level of salary and your opportunities to work. And we don't want to hold you up for those kinds of things. So that's just a little tip in terms of what to look for and what to work for. We have lots of purple pride. At Niagara University, we are the Purple Eagles here on the Ridge. We have an honor society, Pi Lambda Theta, which is the honor society for undergraduate education. We have NUFTA, the Niagara University Future Teachers Association. That is a student club that provides really excellent professional development and professional insights for things outside of the classroom. For example, they will bring in the HR heads from a couple of different school districts and put them on a panel and ask them questions about, what questions were you asking in the interview? What are you looking for in a future candidate? And help with resume writing and different things like that. An excellent campus community. We at Niagara University, our Faculty of Education is the most highly accredited institution, and I would put it in the world, because we hold international accreditation with the Ontario College of Teachers. We hold consent from the Ministry of Colleges and Training Universities in Canada. But we're also CAPE accredited. CAPE is the national accrediting body for education in New York, or not New York State, it's in the United States. And what CAPE requires is that each of your individual programs, your special ed program, your elementary program, your early childhood program, your TESOL program, your biology program, your math program, each of those programs undergoes national review from a different, the highest international or national accrediting body. What that means is I'm sitting here telling you how wonderful we are, but when we undergo accreditation, that means that people in the know, nationally or internationally, have also looked at all of it and said, we have met the highest standards that we possibly can meet. It's not a blind review. They come in and there's no stone unturned. They interview our students, they interview the alumni, they talk to our bosses, they talk to the cooperating teachers and the associate teachers in the field, and they look at our student work and see how well our students do on the state tests. And even to the point of right now, following up, our students graduate and a couple of years later, they're in their own classrooms, gathering the test scores of the kids in the classrooms where they teach, to show that our students can make a difference. And we have always measured up and met our accreditation expectations. So we're really proud of that. And it's not just us saying we're doing a great job. We have an 84% freshman to sophomore retention rate at Niagara University, or in the College of Education at Niagara University. We have the highest four-year graduation rate in Western New York, public or private, at the entire university. And the College of Education has the highest four-year graduation rate at Niagara University. What that means is you are going to come in here and you're going to finish your program in 4 years and be finished and ready to go as a certified teacher. And that is because of the individualized attention, advisement, and supervision and supports that you get along the way. And lots of folks will balk at the sticker price of a private institution. And it's, you know, it's not polite to talk money amongst strangers, but I will tell you, please don't look at the sticker price. My son is a senior in high school, and I'm not looking at the sticker price anywhere. I'm going to figure out what it actually costs and what the actual cost is for a student to attend there. And once you get to that point, consider that against perhaps a public institution that you may be considering. And realize if therefore your graduation rate is much lower than ours, you may be staying another year or another 2 years, which means you're paying tuition still, and you're not out there working, getting a salary and moving up and closer to retirement and the benefits that you have rightly earned. So really look at retention rates and graduation rates. Typically, most schools, freshman to sophomore retention rate is about 66%. So 84 is pretty darn good. And we're also very proud of the fact that because of our early experiences, you're taking the education courses and you're doing the field experiences right from the start. Students decide, they get to test things out and decide whether or not education really is right for them. And I don't want to lose you as an education major, especially to the School of Nursing or going over to the College of Business or something like that. But I also would be less happy if you were a miserable teacher for the rest of your life. What I love about my job is working with students who come in at 17 or 18 years of age and watching them transform and really start to test things out and decide and become who they want to become and become extremely passionate about whatever it is. And I want you to be passionate about your job. And if it's not teaching, that's okay. You're still going to finish in 4 years. We'll just help you to transition over as quickly as you can. It's very difficult to get to your junior year and then decide, oh, wait a second, I don't like kids and schools and things like that. So people will finish things up, and we don't want that to happen to you. So that's a little bit more about our Purple Pride. I'm providing you with some contact information for me. I'm Dr. Chandra Foote. I'm the Dean of the College of Education, and you can see my email there. Over on the right-hand side is Tammy Bruno. Tammy wasn't able to be with us today because she's also running a graduate session at the same time. But she's my assistant dean and right-hand woman. Tammy's job as assistant dean is very much like a school counselor in a high school. She makes sure that you're progressing and that you're happy in the way that you're progressing. And if there's any concerns along the way, she can help you navigate those. And she's, I would hang most of our 4-year graduation rate on Tammy Bruno, because you don't get to your senior year and find out, oh shoot, I didn't take this course. Now I got to stay around a lot longer. But you see both of our email addresses there. And one of my charges to you before I open this for questions is, I know I won't be able to answer all of your questions right now, probably because some of you won't be comfortable talking yet, but things will occur to you later. And I challenge you, email us, say I attended this session and now I have this question. See how long it takes me to get back to you, or it takes Tammy to get back to you. If it's taken longer than 24 hours, and I'm even talking on the weekends, you probably spelled Niagara wrong, because we don't let things sit. You are our priority. And I'll say, email somebody at an institution other than us, and I guarantee you're going to wait a heck of a lot longer. And that's the commitment that we make to all of our students as they go through. So I have talked long enough, and I'm wondering, I'm going to stop sharing. Maybe I'll stop sharing and open up my, can you tell me what the average class size is? Yes, I would say the average class size at the university is about 15 to 20 students. Within the College of Education, your very first class might have about 20 students in it in the freshman year, but as you progress up, you may have 15, and depending on what your concentration is, and if you're bio or chemistry or math or French or Spanish in your methods courses, you might have 4 or 5 students in there. Your faculty will know your name. And if they haven't seen you in a while, they will email, text, and they'll tell Tammy Bruno, and she'll go knock on your dorm door. Are you okay? We want to make sure that you're fine. So with very small class sizes, and we will know you. And I've been here 25 years. We'll know you 25 years later when you bring your kids here, or when I walk into your school, and you might have to tell me, especially when you have a mask on and you've aged a little, and so have I. We'll know you. Other questions?
Also, Lynn's iPhone, if you wouldn't mind just typing in the chat box if you don't feel comfortable talking, just your first and last name so I can mark that you are here.
Okay. So I'll answer both questions. Other than taking an attendance, there's some incentives for students who participate in these kinds of engaging activities between now and the end of October, including financial incentives toward tuition. So it's good to put your name out there and say I attended. What are the admissions requirements? We don't have a specific set of admissions requirements. But we have what we call multiple measures we take into account. And there's ways to say, if you have this, this, and this, sure, there's no question about it. But I pride myself on the in-betweens. You're really good at this piece, but you're still working on this piece because you're not a fully formed individual yet. You're still growing into things. Niagara University is a test optional school. Meaning if you take the option of taking the SATs, ACTs, something like that, we would want to be sure that our class coming in, so the 80 students perhaps that we bring in as first year students, the average scores are at the mean and slightly above the mean. We've always been a little bit above the mean on of what freshmen across the country are getting. If you don't choose to put in the standardized tests, we will be just looking at transcripts. So we're going to be looking at your overall GPA. It could be okay that early on you didn't do as well. We are very cognizant that COVID might have led to passings as opposed to A+ student kinds of things. So we're looking at those kinds of things. We want to make sure that you have had courses in math, courses in history, courses in English language arts and science. You have to have at least some courses in each of those areas. It's very easy for us if you State Regents diploma because we know what you have to have, and if you have a Regents diploma and you've done well enough, that should be fine. But from Canada, it's not necessarily the same, but we would go through and count courses and make sure. I'm going to ask Morgan to help with the Canada costs, including residence. I'm sure we can take you to the point on the page where you can do some calculator work with it, but I don't have that answer.
So I am actually going to put in the chat box Mark Stewart's contact information because he is the absolute expert. He actually lives over in Canada, and he would be more than happy to meet up with you or jump on a Zoom call like this because the costs there are a little bit different than what they are here. And I don't have all of that information either. And Mark and we just—
He knows it inside and out. He actually went through our program. He was a teacher, and he said, I'm coming back to do the recruiting, and he'll meet you at any Tim Hortons because he loves Tim Hortons to go over all of this. But there's also the exchange rate things, and we have some sort of a cap on exchange. And that's like I go to the accountant for my taxes. I'm going to send you to, I think that was a good answer, Morgan, to send you to Mark on he'll speak Canadian to you on and
yes,
he'll be responsive too.
He is awesome. He's a great expert, and he's a great resource for you to reach out to.
He can also explain the you know, Canadian students often think that it's too good to believe that you can get the 4-year undergrad and become certified just in 4 years, because there are concurrent or consecutive programs in Ontario, which take about 6 years to get all of the things that you want. And he can speak that to you, exactly what that means and why it works and how many students he's put through that way. There he is. That's Mark Stewart, if you want to talk Canadian.
Yes.
Other questions? Okay, well, I invite you to participate. We have other events along the way. This doesn't have to be your final experience with us. We really find, if I could walk you around campus, and especially the academic complex, which is where the College of Education is located, you would see a lot of different things going on campus. So for example, we have a family literacy center right in our building. So we bring children from the local community who've been identified by their teachers as having reading challenges right here to campus. And our students who are literacy minors learn to do testing with them. They do some tutoring, and then they test again, and they can demonstrate how they have changed things for those children. And so we have a children's library right downstairs and all of the test kits and things like that. We have model classrooms right here in the building where they're set up like elementary classrooms or secondary classrooms with bulletin boards and smart boards and all of the technologies that teachers would use. We have a teacher resource center in our library. It's a separate room within the library where you have all the curriculum materials. So, you know, you don't all walk around with the teacher's version of the textbooks or children's literature so that you can plan lessons. In there, we have 3D printing machines, button makers, everything you would need to make a bulletin board. But we also have a machine that will, you know, back in my day, we would have to cut out the letters and the apples and things like that. We have a machine that you just, you know, print on that thing and it cuts it and sends it out for you. So you have all of those kinds of things on campus to really support our teacher candidates along the way. So I invite you really, if you get the opportunity to come to campus, you'll learn to love us even more. And some of the other events that we will be having throughout the spring, or the fall and the spring, will bring students and alumni and adjuncts and other things. So I may repeat some of this stuff, but I will, as quickly as possible, get you to being able to hear from real students who are doing these things. And typically in the spring, we didn't do it last year because of COVID, but we like to bring our accepted students in for an overnight, or at least for classroom shadowing. So we'll match you up with a student who's got, you know, in the major that you're most interested in, and you can follow them around for a day and see what the day in the life is. These are the ways to really try out Niagara and see, you know, do I see myself here and how do I fit? Not as much so as a PowerPoint where somebody's talking at you like me, but other opportunities. And I think Morgan has put in all of the links to get to those things.
And as soon as you guys would like to, as soon as the border does open, or if you are from the US and you're here, if you guys do want to sign up for an in-person visit, we have 3 different time slots every day for that. We also do have some Saturday appointments available as well. And we do have a few twilight hours meaning sort of after the workday, so after 5 o'clock. That we are offering, just to try and give you guys as many opportunities as you can to sort of come on campus, and you'll get an admissions preview, and we'll sort of go over some admissions fun facts and what we sort of look for in the applications. And then we will take you guys out on tour as well.
Yeah, the tour, and we have a lot of the education majors are the tour guides, so you'll get the insights from them. On campus, you know, we have a Tim Hortons on campus, we have a Subway on campus, we have a theater on campus, and we have an art gallery on campus, dance studios, gyms. I kind of want to leave my house and just move here on campus. So it's a great place to be. We also have throughout the spring, summer, and fall, it doesn't do it in the middle of the winter, a shuttle that stops on campus and takes students from just from Niagara Falls all the way out to Youngstown and all the cute places in between. So lots of up. And then out, we have the shuttle to the outlet mall and all those fun things too. So those are the things you learn about on a tour. I'm just talking about the nature. All right. We should let them go for dinner somewhere, right?
Well, if you guys do have any other questions or you want to reach out, please feel free to reach out to myself or Dr. Foote. Dr. Foote is absolutely amazing with getting back to students and prospective students who are looking to find out more about Niagara and our whole education process. So please utilize us. And if you have more questions geared towards admissions, please feel free to reach out to myself and we can schedule a Zoom meeting, can call you on the phone, whatever is easier for you. We can go over some of those as well.